Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming Daniel Emery Taylor. You may remember him. He was the little fat boy Darryl in The Return of Swamp Thing, that Jim Wynorski classic from 1989. I'm so excited to have him on today because I just love that movie. Since 1990, I can quote every word verbatim of that movie. I just love it. It's got so many classic lines and great, funny, campy action. I'm having him on the show today. He was also in the teen sex comedy movie Road Trip in 2000, directed by Todd Philips, and he's been writing, directing, and several other things regarding films now. And I'm having him on the show today to talk about all of that. He also I should bring up some of the movies that he's written and directed: The Hospital, Camp Massacre, stuff like that. And I can't wait. Like I said, the movie's been a huge part of my life since I was a kid. So here is my interview with Daniel Emery Taylor. Hey, Daniel.
Tommy, what is going on, my friend?
Oh, nothing much. Just enjoying the last bit of decent weather we're having up here.
Has it been cool there, or has it been warmer?
It's been a little bit of warm and cool.
Nice. We've been pretty cool here for the last week, so but it's getting hot again. So.
Yeah. It's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time tonight.
That was my pleasure.
Yeah. So, going back in time, I was reading that you were performing in a school play and you got discovered by a local agency.
That is true.
Wow. What was the play you were doing?
We were doing, it was the night before Christmas, and I actually had gotten cast as background. I was supposed to be a gift box, and I was going to sit under the Christmas tree wearing a little bow and, some kind of crazy thing like that. But the little boy who got cast as the father, which is the main role, actually got sick. So I was kind of a last-minute replacement, and they set me on stage, and, I was a complete ham and just, completely just made a fool of myself, but apparently made a big enough impression that they wanted me to come audition for some movies. So.
Yeah. Now, had you been dreaming of being in movies since the very first time you saw one?
Yeah, not necessarily seriously. Like I guess because I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, that you just don't even really think that it's a possibility. So it's not something you really seriously consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been just fascinated with film, fascinated with movies, just entertainment in general. Just enjoy entertaining people, and just to finally be able to start down that path was a lot of fun.
Yeah, our generation got to have that last wave of really cool entertainment before everything got digital.
Right. Well, now, I mean, gosh, I'm almost envious now because kids can, just start putting stuff on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and then they can find an audience that way. It's really, I'm partial to stuff from my own era, I guess, but now, it's just so wide open that, anybody can put anything out, and it's just kind of amazing that's where we are.
Yeah, and also it's gotten to the point now where it's so oversaturated, like it's a little harder to get discovered now because everyone's trying to do it.
Right, yeah, you're in competition with everybody.
Yeah, I know, I'm waiting for the next big thing to come along so I get to it early. So you had auditioned for A Father's Homecoming, and you didn't get it. Did you feel discouraged?
I did, yeah. It was really hard not to, not to be jealous of, because actually the little boy who got that role was another local child, somebody, local to Birmingham. So, for them to get it and to go so far and to not get it, that's always the thing that kills me, and I think it's an actor thing in general. I mean, sometimes, right out the gate, it's like, I'm not right for this. I'm not going to get this. And, you don't really sweat it too much. But when you think you've got a real good shot and, you go on 2 different callbacks and then you still don't get it, that's kind of, it's real hard not to be disheartened. But luckily, the whole, the second thing I auditioned for was Return of the Swamp Thing. So it was pretty quick turnaround on, getting back on the horse, so to speak.
Yeah. Do you know if that kid, though ended up staying in the game?
I don't. Actually, somebody asked me about that a couple of years ago, and I looked on IMDb, and it does not appear that he did.
I guess that's his 15 minutes then.
I guess so. But it's hard. It's hard to stick around.
Mm-hmm. So was the Return of Swamp Thing your second audition?
It was, yeah.
That's amazing. Did you audition for Jim?
No, actually, I never, in my recollection, I never met with anybody from the actual production until I showed up on set. I'm thinking, just to make sure I'm not misrepresenting, but I know for certain I did not meet Jim Wynorski until I got to set. I know I did not meet Michael Uslan, the producer, until I got to set. I don't think there was anybody from the production at any of the auditions.
Mm-hmm. Was it a solo audition and then they paired you up with Ronrico Lee?
It was, the first audition I did was for a local agency here in town. And they were kind of, I guess they fed everybody through, the bigger agency in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, when they brought us in to a place in Birmingham called Kitten Around, it's like a child, model and actor agency. They paired us up with basically two kids per audition to audition for the roles. And so with that, I had a partner. But when I did my first callback to Atlanta, there was nobody. It was just the agent they were reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know I did at least 2 callbacks because I was told the thing that got me the role was in the second callback I had to pretend to open the door. And I had to pretend to see the monster and scream. Mm-hmm. And apparently my performance of being able to pretend and scream is what really got me the role.
Nice. So you guys shot in Savannah, Georgia?
Yes.
In actual swamp country.
Actual swamp country and just beautiful area. Savannah's beautiful. I have often wanted to get back there just to go visit. Savannah is just an extraordinary place. But yeah, it was out in real swamp with real snakes. I don't know about alligators, but those snakes were a big problem.
Yeah.
They had people would go through and beat the swamp with sticks to scare the snakes away in between takes.
Oh. Did you and Ronrico get along really well?
We did, yeah, for the most part. I think there was probably some, professional jealousy, or maybe not jealousy, maybe competition is a better word. But for the most part, yeah, we got along. He was a little older than I was. I think he was maybe 11 or 12, and I was 8, which, is not many years, but at that particular point in life, it's a pretty big age gap.
Yeah.
But no, we got, I would say that,
Have you seen him since?
No. I mean, I've seen him on television.
Yeah.
Pretty well for himself. But no, I don't think I've actually. Pretty sure I haven't actually seen him in person since we filmed.
Yeah. How did Dick Durock's swamp suit feel?
It was foamy and latexy, I guess. It was. It's weird. It's weird that because it's so intricate. It had so many different things going on. Like, of course, it was so latex, but they also had little leaves and little vines and like moss, all stuck to it. It was just it's a work of art, really. I work with a group called the HSPPA, which is the Horror Sci-Fi Prop Preservation Association, and they actually have the bottom half of the Swamp Thing suit from Return of Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to have been able to see that again and kind of refamiliarize myself with how it felt and everything. I remember it was like 4 or 5 hours every day it took to get into the outfit with makeup and everything, and it was just it looked as good in person as it looks on screen. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, you kind of stuff on movie sets, it doesn't look nearly as good as it does, to the audience at home. But it was that good of a costume. It looked that good.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know he played the character multiple times, but do you know if he was ever uncomfortable in that costume?
If he was, he never complained. I know that. It was hot. Yeah, I know it was definitely hot, and I know there were aspects to it he didn't like. He had to wear like these balloon things on his fingers. He said were really uncomfortable, but he just wasn't. And Dick Durock was from that old school Hollywood of show up, do your job. He never complained about anything. And he had such a love for the character that I truly think that he was honored just to be playing him, and especially to have played him, multiple times.
Yeah. I remember right around the time I discovered the movie, the Swamp Thing TV series started. I wasn't a big fan of it. I couldn't stand his voice on that show. They made it sound like he was talking underwater,
Yeah, it was a weird choice. Because I remember trying to watch the show, and it was just it was a good show. Like, it was a well-written show. It was a good show. I actually think the suit looked really cool. I know they did a lot of updating from the film. But yeah, the voice was weird, and the fact that Swamp Thing was basically like a side character in his own show.
Yeah.
It was show about Swamp Thing that Swamp Thing was barely in.
Yeah, and they put in characters that weren't even in the movies. They made up new characters, I guess, to appeal to young audiences.
Right.
Yeah. I love that shot of you posing in the picture with him in the movie. You get told that a lot? Oh,
yeah, I do. And he was just such a blast to hang out with. It was just such a nice guy, and I know Rodrigo and I both asked him 50 million questions about the suit and about Swamp Thing and about his acting career. He never got frustrated, never got short with us. He was always just a really super nice guy, and a great actor, a really underrated actor. Stuntmen.
Yeah.
Now they do, but stuntmen back then didn't really get the respect as actors that I feel that they should.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they still don't in many ways. There's no best stuntman category at the Academy Awards.
Right.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But Jim is legendary for his temper. Did you see a lot of it?
A little bit. Not toward us. Again, he was very, very good with us. remember the first day we arrived on set, one of the PAs or somebody came running by and she was crying, and another lady came after her, and I can't remember if it was my mom or Rodrigo's mother, kind of stopped her and said, what's going on? And all the lady could say is, he's a monster. He's a monster. She was talking about Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Jim had, broken bad on somebody and brought them to tears. But with us, he was very, very patient. He was very, very, very kind to us. I mean, I still, have always been very close with him and, haven't talked to him in a while, but, he kept in contact with my family and everything, and he was great. But I think, and I don't want to speak for Jim, of course, but I feel that he gets really short and irritated with kind of the diva attitude that a lot of actors have.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that causes him to want to break them down.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him. I don't know, but that's just kind of been things that I've observed over the years and hearing stories and everything. I think he's got very little patience for somebody who wants to pull the, but I'm an actor card. Whereas, kids like Rodrigo and I, we showed up and we were happy just to be there,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. He's told me stories about working with Robert Culp and Tanya Roberts and all these people who had the diva cards. So I think that's really accurate. Yeah. I was 7 years old when I discovered this movie, and to this day I can still quote every line. And that's one of the reasons why Jim likes me, because I know every line of dialogue. I remember back in the early 2000s, it was on the Spanish channel, and the whole movie was in Spanish, and there was no subtitles, but it's okay. I overdubbed it while I watched it.
I've got on DVD, I've got a Vietnamese copy, which is great, because all of our lines are dubbed in Vietnamese, so
Oh, it's hilarious. So after this movie, did you decide you were going to finish school and then pursue the industry on your own terms?
Well, I did a little bit more through school, like some small television roles and everything. But you just kind of reach a point to where there's not a lot of roles. There's not a lot of roles for teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a kid, you're great, and when you're an adult, you're great. But when you're an actual teenager, there's not much for you. That's why when you see teenagers in movies, they're almost always like, 20, 25-year-old adults playing teenagers. Teenagers are kind of awkward and gangly and everything. So I just got out of it going through high school because there just wasn't a lot of work for me. So I kind of got tired of taking all the time off to go audition when I wasn't really getting anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was great. Mom, she was never like a stage mom or anything. She was, when I wanted to do it, she took me to do it. When I didn't want to do it anymore, she didn't make me go. But then when I got out of school, we went to college for a couple of years. And before I went to college, I did Road Trip. Had a very small role in the Road Trip. And
I remember.
Had a pretty good time. Yeah, I had a pretty good time doing that. And I went to college for a couple of years, and then really I just came to a point where I realized that nothing interested me as much as film did. And I just wasn't happy doing anything as much as I am when I'm doing film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of when I started down the independent film route and wanting to make my own films and things like that.
Mm-hmm. You worked with Todd Philips on Road Trip.
I did. It was actually Todd's first film. And this is kind of a bit of trivia. Ivan Reitman was the producer.
Yeah.
And Ivan was kind of, I guess, showing Todd the ropes. And he Ivan Reitman actually directed most of the scenes I was in, kind of with Todd Phillips shadowing him. But Ivan Reitman was the one who actually, was calling action on most of the scenes I was in. So that was kind of, and I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. I'm a huge Stripes fan. I'm a huge, just Ivan Reitman to me is probably the greatest comedic director, period, in my opinion. And just to work with him was just, to me, such an honor. And now Todd Phillips, to see where he's gone, to see what he's doing now, it's like, wow, I got to see, this world-class, genius director, before he was anybody. It's like, I got to work with him, while he was still, trying to learn his craft and everything. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. I put Ivan second behind John Landis, whom he worked with on Animal House.
Right. They're the top two. You can probably switch with me to which way you want to go, but yeah, they're definitely the top two, I would say.
John, and if you want to do top three, John Hughes would be in there too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you make of that thing Todd Phillips is saying now, where he says he can't make comedy anymore because he doesn't want to offend people?
I think there's a lot of validity to that. And I understand people getting upset with what he said because of, I guess, the way he worded it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think anymore, it's like it can be like walking through a minefield of trying not to offend everybody. And not that I think that you should be punching down, and not that I think you should be making, jokes about, LGBT community or anything like that. I don't think that's what he meant. But now people are getting just offended by weird, out of the way things.
Yeah.
People are getting offended. What was it I read earlier today? It was the term blind spot. You say, "Oh, I got a blind spot here," and that now is an offensive term to somebody on Twitter somewhere. I don't know. So I think that's what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's necessarily, pining for the days of, racist or misogynistic jokes. I think it's just now you never know what's going to set somebody off and what's going to be the thing that offends somebody. So,
yeah.
you need to go the Dave Chappelle route of just not caring, or you can, go the route of, well, I'm just going to go do something else.
Yeah, it's a weird time for comedy. That's for sure.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
So, what was the origin of the hospital?
Oh gosh, hospital, probably a really bad idea from the get-go. Pardon me. Well, I was working with a guy named Jim O'Rear, who's a friend of mine, and we had been co-actors on a few different independent film projects. And we were visiting a place in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, the old South Pittsburgh hospital that was supposedly haunted. It was an abandoned hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know necessarily what I believe in terms of ghosts or anything like that, but I will tell you, it's a creepy place. An abandoned hospital is creepy regardless of what you believe. So we were in there, and we were doing, quote-unquote ghost hunts, and just kind of filming some stuff and playing around with some other people. And I made the comment of, has anybody ever filmed, like, in a real haunted location like this? Like, filmed a ghost story in a real haunted location? And Jim said, well, not that I can think of. So we just started batting ideas back and forth of the story of these, ghost hunters who go into this haunted location like this to hunt ghosts, but there's not really ghosts in there. There's bad guys in there, and the bad guys kidnap them and torture them and all this other stuff. But then it turns out it really is haunted, and the ghosts are trying to help them. that's what we came up with.
Uh,
Whether or not we succeeded in getting that story across probably depends on who you ask. The film kind of became more of a sleazy kind of grindhouse exploitation film instead of a ghost story. But, the intention was there.
mm-hmm. Did you guys do a crowdfunding for it?
We did. I believe we used Kickstarter on that one. Had a pretty modest budget. It was about a $10,000 budget. But we had a lot of fun shooting it, definitely.
Nice. I love the premise for Camp Massacre, a weight loss slasher film. I mean, that's genius.
And I hate that I've been griping about this for years. I hate that the distributor changed the name on it because it was originally called Fat Chance.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was clever. And to me, it was much more indicative of what the film was about than Camp Massacre. But no, it was. I came up with Fat Chance just based on the idea that you can normally only have one fat guy in a movie. You've always got like your token fat guy, or he's like the friend, or he's the next door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got so many actor friends who are really, really good actors, good comedic actors, and they're all, a lot of them are overweight. So I thought, what we're going to do is we're going to take all these, who are normally the side characters, we're going to put them all in a movie together. So it was just kind of this movie with all these great character actors playing these just goofball, wacky characters, and it was kind of a parody of slashers. I like not just slashers, but those kind of really cheesy, Friday the 13th Part 5 is always a favorite of mine because it's just so weird. It doesn't really fit in the Friday the 13th canon.
My favorite too.
Sleepaway Camp's another one. Just those movies like that, and I just wanted to do something that was kind of a parody of those.
Yeah, I love all those movies and stuff. What horror films do you like?
Just in general?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite horror film is Fright Night.
Love it.
Because to me, Fright Night covers all the bases. It's scary, it's funny, it's sexy, it's got like a great soundtrack, it's exciting, and it's got great characters. It just really covers all the bases of what I think a horror film should be.
Yeah, that's a great one. I love that one.
But I love Suspiria. It's a favorite one. I consider Jaws a horror film. I know some people don't, but Jaws is a great one. The original Wolfman, Universal Studios Wolfman, the Evil Dead movies. Hitchcock, I'm a huge Hitchcock fan, so Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window,
Mm-hmm.
Rear Window's not really a horror film, but it's kind of the same wheelhouse.
Yeah, I love all those too. I also love Dawn of the Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A lot of Charlie Band movies I really like and stuff like that.
I like a lot of Charles Band films from like the mid-early 90s and before.
Yeah.
They kind of got into a groove of, I don't know, maybe their writers changed. Full Moon kind of got in a groove of kind of churning out just films that were a little too weird for my taste. But but to me, like the original Puppet Master series, Subspecies, I love the Subspecies films. Those are amazing.
Did you like the early stuff like Tourist Trap or any of that?
Yeah, Dolls, all those.
Trancers, which is sci-fi, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, Troll. Did some pretty good ones.
The original Troll, I was having this conversation a few weeks ago with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The original Troll, I think because Troll 2 is so epically bad,
yeah.
Troll 2 became famous because of how bad it was. People forget that the original Troll was like a really good fantasy horror film from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's like, it's, I mean, yes, it's goofy and kind of silly, but the effects in it were great. The Troll looked good. The story was so unique and had a lot of fun stuff to it. It was just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I really hate that the original Troll gets overshadowed because of the sequel. Because it to me, it's still, I watch it a couple times a year. It's a great film.
I agree, and there's also a connection there with Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yes.
And I don't
I had read that they were planning a sequel to Troll called The Return of Harry Potter or something. I don't know if that was serious or not, but
there might be some legal implications there, though. Now, you've directed, what, 5 or 6 feature-length films?
Yes. I've let me Hospital 1 and 2, Camp Massacre, It's Just a Game. I'm doing Repulse, which I've not done yet, and then, so Repulse will be my 5th.
Do you find it more satisfying than acting?
They're different. But going forward and kind of where I see myself as more of a filmmaker than an actor, but I will always want to do both. But even to the point now, it's like when I first started making my films, I kind of started off with the idea that I wanted to make films that I wanted to act in. I would really like to play this type of role, so, let me write this movie for it. But now I'm to the point where I'm thinking of all the different projects I want to create. Like I'm not even in some of them. So it's kind of growing to the point of, or if I am, it's just like kind of a small little walk on,
Yeah.
Some people can do both at the same time and be excellent in both, Billy Bob Thornton and people like that. I find it hard to do both at a high level. So the more involved my filmmaking becomes and the better projects I want to make and things like that, I'll have to back off on the acting side because I just don't feel I can do both at the same time and do both well.
Yeah, I feel a lot of directors nowadays don't want to be in their own movies because they don't think they can multitask like that.
Right, it is hard. It's really hard. Like some people can do it. Some people have been very successful doing both, but for me, I would prefer to act in other people's stuff and then make my own films, with other actors.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope the filming of Repulse goes very well, and I'm glad you're out there making films, doing what you love, and I appreciate you coming on tonight, Daniel.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, and you have yourself a great night.
And you as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Well, there you have it. Daniel Emery Taylor. Ain't he a cool dude? I'm so glad that get to see somebody, who had, some cultish fame back in the day, and now he's exploding in the same field, but doing a different job in the field. I think that's just commendable, and that's wonderful, and I love to see people going out there slugging. As a lot of you know, I love perseverance, and I love people who follow their dreams. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.